What made you decide to go on a social work course?
It's a difficult question to answer. I know everybody says, well, they want to help people, and yes, of course I want to help people, but it's a bit of a cliche. I trained to be a nursery nurse after I had my children, and I think it almost seems to be sometimes a natural progression, but a lot of nursery nurses do move on to social work. But I have, even before that, I did want to be a social worker, but I was scared. I really was scared.
What were you scared about?
The responsibility of the job. You know, because it is a responsibility, and it's whether you work with children or adults, you know, your responsibility is equal, and I was scared of making a mistake, of getting something wrong. So I think sort of with maturity, with experience of having my own children, because parenting I think is one of the most awe-inspiring jobs you can have, doing my nursery nursing course and working as a nursery nurse, I feel now, finally, in my 30s,
you're confident.
I'm ready to be a social worker.
Well, many years ago, I used to work in children's homes. I worked in residential children's homes as a residential social worker, as it was called then. And I got interested in, obviously, trying to work my way up. So I started as an RSW and I worked my way up to team leader. I was there for about 6 years, and after I left there, I worked with various agencies in different homes, and then I got another job as a team leader in a residential unit in Kent for young girls who self-harm and with eating disorders. But I helped to set that up, you know, alongside the manager. Unfortunately, that never worked out, but I decided that I'd like to actually set something up myself one day, and in order to be able to do that, I thought it'd be good to come and get the degree, because I've had a lot of practical experience and hands-on experience. So I thought it'd be really good to come and get, you know, what the theories and everything in place. So that's kind of what led me towards it.
I felt like, because I like working with children and I like working with people in general, so I had experience to some extent with working with children and parents and families in general, so I thought it would be a good thing to do to be able to help and contribute.
What experience did you have?
I volunteered as a day worker, so I worked with children quite a lot, and then over the summer I worked as a nursery nurse.
I worked for Action on Disability back in Belfast for about 2 years, and I was loving it, working with kids from about 12 to about 21, and over the 2 years I decided I wasn't really going to get anywhere without having the degree as a career, and I decided I was doing at the time an engineering degree, and I just dropped out of the engineering degree and decided I was at a sort of crossroads that I did want a career in that sort of field.
Because of my past experience, I'd fostered for 5 years for a particular local council, so I was foster care for 5 years, and then I was a support worker with unaccompanied minors, asylum seekers. So I found that, you know, I saw the other side of it as a foster carer and a support worker, and I felt that I would be able to take on the role of social worker if I'd studied for it.
Well, I've had experience in working with children in a primary school because I did a health and social care national diploma, and from then on I've wanted to work with children, and I knew it'd be a bit of a contribution to society and everything, so I thought that was my calling. So yeah.
And how's the course going so far? I mean, obviously it's early days, but
yeah, it's different. I really like it. I think it's so interesting, but there's so much reading to do, which could be it can be a bit hard, but it's nice to pick up a book, right, and you just keep reading and keep reading, even you know that you've got your information, but you just keep on reading because it's really interesting stuff.
I'm enjoying the course a lot. It's a very, very steep learning curve. It's a very high pressure course. If you think about your normal degree course, on top of that you've got replacement, so it's like studying on top of a full-time job.
do you feel that the course is preparing you for the actual role as a social worker?
Yes and no. I don't think anything that happens within 3 years could prepare you for what a social worker actually has to do. I don't actually feel anything but actual on-the-job training in the role could really prepare you, but it definitely gives you a very good foundation and allows you to learn the skills and put them into practice real time, because there is so much placement during the course.
It's like a real eye-opener. Like what you learn at uni, you're putting the theory to practice. When you go out there, definitely you realise that I go into placement and I see some things that are happening. It might not be straight to the point, but then when you think about it and you reflect back on it, then you realise, oh yeah, like I remember my tutor was saying something like that. Like I remember that in a lecture, like one day, like you get me, just everything just kind of fits the place, which is it is quite good, and it gives you build your confidence. It's not like you learn for 3 years and then you get chucked out there and just do it. No, you have the what's the name, experience as you go along, as you're learning. So it's really good. So when you finish your 3 year, you're ready to go in there and be a professional, which is quite good.
Because if there's one thing I've learned, then you can't have just practical experience. You do need the knowledge, and I feel that having both, you will definitely be a very good, competent. So you'll be competent enough to be a good social worker.
And what area do you want to specialise in?
Right now, I'm looking into safeguarding children, but I'm a bit scared because of the baby P thing. Like,
I was going to ask you, does it put you
Yeah.
off wanting to go into social work?
some people say that it encourages them more, but I kind of felt when I first read about it, and I was like, oh my god, like I would hate to really think this, but what if that happened to me, like that I messed up or something? But I know it's not good to think about those kind of things, because obviously I'm my own individual person. Like the way I'm going to do it is going to be different to someone else, and I would hate to really be in that kind of situation. But it makes me aware. I'm more aware now that thinking about really thinking about it, like you're working with people's lives. Their lives are in your hands. You just have to be careful. Everything you do, you just have to be careful.
Because of my history of working with children, my initial response would be, say, children and families, but I am starting to reconsider that. Obviously, press reports of what's happening at the moment with the Baby P case is heartbreaking and quite scary. So an aspect of me wants to say, no, stay away from that, work in another area which might be safer, but then another side of me is saying, well, maybe that's why I should be working with children and families, because maybe I can make a difference. So ask me in 5 years' time where I am.
I wouldn't at this early stage, I wouldn't even hazard the guess. I would have an
So
idea.
not even children,
I
given
tried,
your experience?
I probably, at this early stage, I would have imagined that I wouldn't want to spend too much of my career working with child protection, because of the fact that if you work in it for a long time, I would feel that the longer you work in it, there may be a chance that you would maybe get used as a scapegoat at some point in your career. The way you see so many times, social worker tends to take the blame for things that happen. But I would work in it for a couple of years.
At the end of the day, it makes me want to study harder and make sure I'm more attentive to what I'm doing. So I know that once I'm in practice, things are going to happen, but it's about common sense first and foremost, and also having the knowledge and skills to make you aware of situations that are going on. And don't just stop. If you go to your supervisor and say, I'm not sure about this, and they say, oh no, it's fine. If you still feel within yourself it's not fine, then take it as far as you can, write letters, write to the Director of Social Services if you have to, but just to make sure in your heart that you know you've done what you've done.
And what are you most looking forward to about practicing in social work?
Placements. Yeah, I really just want to get in there now. Like, I'm doing the studying and everything, but I just can't wait for year 2. Can't wait.
Working with people, making a difference to people's life, putting my knowledge into practice, just really helping people, really. That does excite me a lot.
I know that once I'm qualified, you finish with university and your learning stops. But for me, I want my learning to continue. It's just not going to be in a university setting. It's going to be in a setting where I'm employed and okay, yeah, I'm getting paid because everybody needs to eat. But for me, it's the whole thing that I can actually leave university and I can still grow and still get more experience and always be willing, because I'm a sponge, that's what I call myself, I just soak it up.